Subscribe now. EU Debates.
Of course, we are ready to present the Justice Scoreboard, and you know there is a link between the Justice Scoreboard and the Rule of Law report that we'll publish in July this year for the third edition, with some recommendations to all the member states. And I had discussions in the Parliament about that. But this morning, because you are interested in the justice file, I was also in the Parliament about the situation in Ukraine and the way to find a way to fight against war crimes and to collect evidence to be sure it's possible to organize prosecutions and then trials. And I was very pleased to see the clear commitment of the Parliament to support an amendment to the regulation dedicated to Eurojust. And I'm very pleased to see now, it was said during the midday, that we have had a positive vote in the Parliament today, and so that it would be possible to go very fast also with the Council in such an amendment to the Eurojust regulation to give to Eurojust the real capacity to store evidences and then to exchange evidences with all the prosecutors in Ukraine, in the member states that have started different kind of investigations and prosecution, but also with the International Criminal Court, the ICC, because it's so important to work in such a way. So it's a very important step in the fight against impunity and immunity of some people in such a kind of process, and I'm very pleased to see that we have a very large support in the Parliament in such a way. But we try also to go further in the normal work with the annual presentation of the Justice Scoreboard. Et je voudrais vous dire que je suis vraiment très heureux.
And I also wanted to say I'm very pleased to talk to you about the 2022 edition of the Justice Scoreboard for the European Union, which is a special edition, if you like. It's the 10th that we've submitted to you, so it's our 10th birthday. Analysing the justice systems across the European Union. And over this 10-year period, the scoreboard has become something which has been quite important as one of the instruments that we can use to follow developments in terms of the rule of law across the European Union. The scoreboard enables us to analyse how judicial systems are evolving over time, cyclically, by putting in place new parameters year on year, providing us with comparative information which can be used alongside other policy instruments and reports. I'm thinking obviously here about the annual reports on the rule of law, but also the follow-up of the resilience and recovery plans of member states and the specific reforms that are being taken out there, and the specific recommendations made under the European semester. If I may, I'll come back briefly to 2013, because that was the first time the scoreboard was used, the first time that the Commission came forward with comparative information on the efficiency, quality and independence of national judiciaries. Those are three things which are key to making sure that judicial systems are efficient. Now, we've tried to develop the system since then. The earlier editions gave us an overview of the main indicators with data provided from external sources, whereas the more recent editions have got a broader level of high-quality data, which is often collated specifically by the Commission in conjunction with judicial networks and other sources in order to provide more grist to the mill. Using the scoreboard, or the use of the scoreboard, has also changed over the years. We've seen a lot of discussions on reforms nationally, which have been undertaken on the basis of what's been noticed in the scoreboard, and that's also going to be true for the observations and recommendations that we include in the annual report on the rule of law. We've also seen references to the Justice Scoreboard in national reports for general policy documents and statements made by Supreme Courts, justice ministries and courts. We've often been asked to send into national parliaments translations of the EU Judicial Scoreboard for input into their national scoreboards. So it's a key part of the justice framework within the European Union. And I'm really pleased to see that it's been used in parliamentary debates, because the scoreboard has made it possible to allay some concerns and dispel some stereotypes that were holding in countries against certain countries as regards the efficiency and independence of other judicial systems compared to their own. Most recently, the scoreboard and the question of independence have played a more and more important role in the context of our commitments to protect the rule of law across the whole of the European Union. Even more recently, the scoreboard has shown how important it is and how valuable it can be given the global pandemic that we've had. COVID-19 has reminded us again of the importance of strengthening the tools we have available to us to make sure that justice is more resilient in the face of crises. Digitalisation is also a crucial aspect of the judiciary to make sure that you have equal access at all points of time to justice. So digitalisation is a key follow-up process which makes it possible for us to show where progress can still be made by member states so that they are better equipped to deal with future crises that may arise. So the scoreboard on the one hand and the report, or the annual reports on the rule of law, are complementary, analysing significant developments in the member states in specific chapters, country by country, which in this edition will include a comparison between certain things that are included in the scoreboards and certain things in terms of the recommendations to be made. And of course, the report benefits from all the things that are included in the broader scoreboard to make sure that detailed information is available on national judicial systems, their independence and their quality, and of course their efficiency.
To the findings to this year's edition, so the new edition for 2022, compared to editions published over the past 10 years, the 2022 EU Justice Scoreboard provides us with several analytical developments. Comparative data on efficiency spanning over 10 years, a comprehensive overview of specific arrangement for access to justice, trends on digitalisation of justice, and more and new indicators on perception and structural independence. In addition, in comparison with last year's edition of the scoreboard, the 2022 publication brings several innovations. For instance, on efficiency, monitoring has been extended to the length of proceedings of administrative authorities. On quality, new figures are available on specific arrangements for access to justice for persons with disabilities and for child-friendly proceedings. An example, although all member states have at least some arrangements in place, only half of them have specific formats available upon request, such as Braille or sign language. And on independence of justice, there are new charts on the perception of companies on the effectiveness of investment protection by the law and the courts. Furthermore, there are also data on the decision of a prosecutor not to prosecute a case. It gives a more detailed overview of the safeguards available in the case of victimless crimes such as money laundering or corruption. Review of prosecutorial decisions before a court is important, particularly in view of the effective protection of budgets, including the EU budget. All these innovations are at the same time our response to valuable inputs provided by different stakeholders in public consultations or in discussions in different forums. In the past decade, the EU Justice Scoreboard has become an important tool for observing trends. In particular, this year, we could see some of the effects of the national justice system that could potentially be attributed to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. As regards the overall efficiency, the 2022 edition shows that despite the possible effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, the efficiency has improved or remained stable in 10 member states, while it decreased, often only marginally, in 11 member states. As regards the quality of justice system, compared to last year, there have also been improvements, some of them accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic and the need to adapt quickly to the new ways of working. For example, on the digital-ready procedural rules, in all Member States there are at least some procedural arrangements for the use of distance communication and admissibility of evidence. As regards perception of judicial independence, the situation remains mixed. We observe that challenges as regards perception of judicial independence persist. In over 3/5 of the Member States, the public perception of judicial independence has improved since 2016. However, compared to last year, the public's perception of independence has decreased in about half of the Member States. This year, the scoreboard comes ahead of the Open Semester Spring package, which relies on the findings of the scoreboard. This is another example of how the EU Justice Scoreboard is used to promote good reforms that further improve the effectiveness of the justice system, alongside the upcoming 2022 Rule of Law report that we will present, I said, in July. I'm proud as Justice Commissioner to be the witness of the evolution of the Justice Scoreboard. Indeed, this instrument is published by the Commission, but is also very much the success of a joint cooperation with the Member States, national courts and councils for the judiciary, as well as businesses and citizens. And I'm happy to continue working with the Member States and the European Parliament to further develop this tool, which is an essential component of our rule of law policy. And I said since 10 years we have seen that it was possible to use the scoreboard to prepare and to organise different reforms to improve independence, quality and efficiency of the justice system. But it's just a tool at the disposal of all the different stakeholders. But of course, I will be very pleased to answer to your questions.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.